Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Important Points. Now, of course, being a sleuth, that to me I think immediately about a pin board with lots of points of interest on there, and lots of pins that are marking them, even ones that actually have lights on them. Admittedly, given who the constructors are of today's puzzle, FullDeck and Missing a few cards, I was much more tempted to actually create something that's more like a temple and points of interest in there, given who this dynamic duo are. And today's puzzle, 1-star difficulty rating. It's rated, I'm going to say 95% as of the time recording. Pardon me, 93%. Oh my goodness. Only 93%. And it's already had a few hundred solves, so it could well be that it's been featured somewhere else. And in that case, I do apologize, but really looking forward to playing any puzzle that comes out of these two. Let's take a look at today's puzzle and rule set with Important Points by FullDeck and Missing a few cards. Are we recording? We are. Excellent. So, standard Sudoku, arrow, and Kropki pairs. Very straightforward set of rules. If you want to play along, link in the description down below for you to do so. You know that. On the off chance that you're not familiar with the rules, standard Sudoku, place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row. Every column, of course, every 3x3 box, so nothing unusual about the Sudoku part. The arrow sums, so digits along an arrow must sum to the number indicated in the circle from which the arrow emerges. Digits may repeat along the arrows if allowed by other rules. So, these three cells, for example, let's say they are 1, 2, 3. They will come up to a sum, which is 6, and you're going to have to be able to add it to the attached circle. This circle, which has 3 arrows coming out of it, well, you'll end up with the same digits and all of them because every single one of them will have to sum up to 6. Of course, it didn't have to be 6. It could have been, 9. But nothing says that these numbers had to be the same. I could absolutely come up with a whole bunch of different ways. Oh, come on, I can select yes. To achieve exactly that. So no need for these 3 sets to be the same. They just all need to add up to the same value. It does say digits may repeat along arrows if allowed by other rules, but thankfully all the arrows are always contained in the same box, so you don't have to worry about that today. We've got Kropki pairs, so digits in a cell separated by a black dot are in a 2 to 1 ratio. Digits in a cell separated by a white dot are consecutive and not all dots are given. Let's make this the interesting one. If this is a 2, this one has to be in a 2 to 1 ratio, so 1 or 4. Essentially one cell is double the other. This has to be consecutive, it would be 1 or 3. If I have a 2, a 4, and a 3, 2 to 1 ratio, consecutive, no black dot, no white dot, all of that is allowed because not all dots are necessarily given. So, as always, to play along, link in the description down below for you to do so. With that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. Now, okay, let's state so many obvious things. And then I'll come back to some non-obvious things. These cells, because they are summing up 3 cells that are unique, because they're in the same box. So I'm not repeating any digits on any of these. These 4 points, these important points, are 6, 7, 8, 9. This cell, which is on a black Kropki dot, I'm just going to put these up quickly. So we've got the powers of 2 black Kropki dots and the 3 and 6 black Kropki dots. This one can only be 6 or 8 because 7 and 9, well, half of them is not even an integer digit, and double of them is a 2-digit number. 14, 7, yeah, 14 and 18. Now, I can immediately tell that this one is an 8. And how can I tell that? Because of what's going on in here. You see, to get to 6, this would have to be 1, 2, and 3. And immediately, just as I put that down, I rejected the idea. Right. I guess what I'm saying is that if it is 1, 2, 3, the 1 can't be here because double of 1 will be 2, and I've already used it. So this would end up being 4, 6, and this would end up being the 1 if that was 6, and that would be 3, and actually it entirely works. That's a shame. Right. If this is 8, however, this would be, and this 3 would mean this is 1, 2. this is 8, this would be a 4. This would be 1, 3 to get to 8. And then we've got 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 4 as options in here. Now, I think 1, 2, 5 doesn't work because the 1 and 2 would be restricted in here as the only ones that could be black Kropki dot digits. And the 5 would be there, but obviously the 1 would break because it would require a 2 and the 2 would be on the arrow. So it would once again have to be 1, 3, 4 as per the above. But the 4 in here means that's not a 4, that would be 1 or 3. And then these two cells would be from 1, 3, 4, with the 1 leading up to a 2, if it is in there, and the 3 leading up to a 6. And the 4 could absolutely be leading to an 8, not just a 2. This wasn't as helpful as I was hoping, actually. I was so confident this was 8 for some reason, but I am certainly feeling less confident now. And that's because I haven't looked in the column where it tells us. Right. Pairs that can add up to 6, 7, 8, or 9. Well, these are kind of all the pairs that we can have. 4 and 8 is just not an option. It's 12. That is not an option. So I can get to 6 with 2 and 4, or 9 with 3 and 6. So this specific cell can only be 6 or 9. Now, what's interesting is that it always contains... Where am I going with this? Yes, 1 of 1, 2, 3. Because it's either 2, 4 or 3, 6. If this is 6, this is 1, 2, 3. And I've broken the puzzle because I cannot use 2, 4 and I cannot use 3, 6. So this is definitely 8. Now, 2 ways to get to 8 in 3 cells. It's either 1, 2, 5 or 1, 3, 4. And they are... I could definitely use 2, 4. Actually, 2, 4 just doesn't work because it breaks both options. 1, 2, 5 and 1, 3, 4 are no longer possible. I can't get to 8 anymore. So it's not 2, 4. It is exactly 3, 6. And this is another digit. That's a 9. And of course, that was a 4. I just didn't correct that. And then that no longer has a 2 on it because it's not 1, 2, 5 yet. Let me just clean this up. So there's a 1 or 3 in here. There's a definite 4 in there, which could actually add up to a 2 or 8. So I'm actually going to end up with all of these same digits again back on here. That's not very good. If there's a 3, there's a 6. If there's a 1, there's a 2. And if there's a 4, there's a 2 or 8. Right, 3 and 6 means this is not 1, 3, 4. This is 1, 2, 5. The 1 in here kind of works, actually. Because nothing tells me that the 1 has to be there. The 1 could be here. And then I could end up with a 4, 8 pair. And then the 1 could lead to 2. The 2 could certainly... wouldn't work because that would be 1 or 3. And I'm definitely using it on the arrow. So that's definitely not a 2. The 5, well, it couldn't be 4. But it could be 6. It couldn't be 4. So that is not 5 because it's not 4. Oh, no, it could be 6. It could be 6, excuse me. Because I don't have to have the 3 in here. I could have the 3 there, 1, 4, with 2 and 8. So this is 2 or 6. And we now have a 2, 6, 8 triple, which tells me the 8 is definitely on here, which tells me the 4 is definitely on here. We knew that anyway, but it's at least pairing up with an 8. And then the 1 and 2 kind of will help us resolve these. Then we're left with 5, 7, and 9. Interesting, but not quite enough. Anyway, not 8, 9. Not 8, 9. And obviously not 3, 6. So this being 6 or 7 is quite restrictive. It tells us basically that these are made up of 1, 2, 3, or 4. Essentially, if it's 7, it's 1, 2, 4. If it's 6, it's 1, 2, 3. And this in particular feels very interesting. Oh, I should point out the 1 and 2, actually, I'm being very silly. 3, 6 in here tells us This is 1, 2, 4. This is a 7. And then, of course, all of this is 1, 2, 4. Just no 3s. And this one is the 6 with 1, 2, 3. Can't be a 1. I'm using the 2. Could be a 2 with a 4. Could be a 3 with a 6. You know, it's very crowded in the bottom row. Not crowded enough for a break-in, of course. That can't be 1. Can't be 2 either, because that would require to be 1 or 4, both of which would be on the arrow. So that is 4. This is not 2, we've used it, so that's 8. And this is 3 or 5. Not a 4. Not a 4 again. This is not 1. This cannot be 2 because 1 or 4 are not available, so exact same logic. Not 2 again, this is an 8. And this is not 4. Excellent. We end up with a 1, 2 pair. That tells me that's 3. That tells me that's 5. These are not 3s. This is a 6, which gives me my 2, my 1. That 2 tells me no 1s now here. This is a 3, 4 pair. That is my 1. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Excellent. And of course, this is a 6. And I think we've just had a flurry of activities. That's just about to run its course. I say that because, I mean, admittedly, there's one more arrow sum and a few Kropki dots. I'm so sorry. I'm going to just pause a second just to blow my nose. Actually, let me pause that first. Right, sorry about that. Let's pick this up. So 9, I don't know if that's particularly interesting just yet. Have a think about this. So options for 9 in 3 cells. Let's just write them down. 1, 2, 6, 1, 3, 5, 2, 3, 4. Now, this cell is not 1 or 2 or 4. So this cell could be a 6. I would end up with a 1, 2 in here. That would have to be the 2. This would have to be the 4. This would have to be the 1. So that's one option fleshed out. It looks good to me. Yep. 1, 3, 5. Well, this is not 1. And that's a much uglier pencil mark. Let me just think about 2, 3, 4 for a second. So the 2 is not here. Or there. So we'd still end up with 2, 4. As such. And then the 3 and the 4. Well, the 4 wouldn't be here. So this would be the 3. This would be the 4. And I think that's still okay. So that's 2, 3, 4. I'm so sorry. No, that doesn't work. So let's try that again. Where is 2 if this is 2, 3, 4? That's not a 2. That's not a 2. That's the only place for a 2. I am using the 4 because it's 2, 3, 4, and it can't be 1. So 2, 3, 4 was never an option. 1, 3, 5, however, is a bit uglier of an option in that a lot of it works. Let's just think about options. So as far as I could tell, nothing stops me from having 1 and 2 in here. And seemingly, nothing is stopping me from having, no, that doesn't work. Right, so 3 and 6 in the 1, 3, 5 option doesn't, because you end up with a 3, 6 that lines up in rows 2 and 3. So no 3, 6s here. I'd have to put both of them in there. So that doesn't work. So the 1 would have to go here with a 2. And then a 3, 5 pair that for some reason I just can't see beyond. It does place a definite 2 in here, which is just not good enough. Places a 2 in there. No 9s. No 7 or 9 actually. So 7 and 9 are here. Falling back on Sudoku. What's the world coming to? 5, 6, 8 in there. That can't be a 5. Yeah, because it's not 4 or 6, so not a 5 in here. 6, 8 pair. No. There must be something more obvious that I'm missing. There's always something more obvious that I am missing. Let's just remember, so I'm using either 135 or 126. So these are the potentially unavailable digits in here. Doesn't feel remotely helpful. Let's think about it in a different way, actually. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be, if this is 1, 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 8, that's 6, that's 7. Like the entire thing resolves. This is 2, that's 4, that's 1, that's 3, that's 6, that's 8. Again, you make a ton of progress. But so far, it's all working. Anyhow, what else do we know? So 6, 8 pair. The 4 low digits are sorted out. The remaining ones are 5, 7, and 9. That 3 has probably helped me way earlier, and I just totally ignored it. We won't speak about that, will we? 2 and 4. I said when this is 2 and 4, it helps, doesn't it? Because, yep, that's 6. Well, not entirely. That means that's not an 8. It does leave both 7 and 9 as options. That 1 gave me a 3. The 5, actually, because this is now 2, we know that this is 1, 2, 6. It's not 3, 5. So that's got to be the 6. That's got to be the 1. Therefore, that's 5. That's 6. This is 5 or 7. Both are seemingly options. And these will help me resolve all of this, I suspect. 2, 1, 4, and 3, and 6. And I think we've got basically almost everything for a solve at this point. I say almost everything because we've got 2 white Kropki that will probably come into play at some point. Right, let's do some Sudoku. Last one. And we're done with 2s. There's a 3 in here. There's a 3 there, there, here, and there. 4s, 4s again, 4. I think that's it for 4s, 5s. No 5s. That's a 5. That's another 7, 9. These are 7, 9s again. This is 5, 7, or 9, except it's not a 5, so that's a 5. That's another 7, 9. That's a 7, 9 pair. These are 3 and 8. I'll come back to that. Where were we with 5s? I think there's a 5 in here. There's something, 7 in there. Should probably just, I don't have to work through it so systematically now. Not 3, but it is 6. I think that was all the 5s, weren't they? Believe so. In here I need 8 and 9. Here I need 7 and 9, not resolved yet. In here I need 5, which can only be there now, and how did I miss this 2 for so long? It looked like it was entirely done for me. 8, 9 pair. 9 again. No, 8, 4, 7, 5, I think 7, 9, 5, 6, 7. If I've not made any mistakes, 6 for the finish. Fantastic puzzle, very smooth to solve, especially if you do it in the right order. Now, I went down on the 6-8 part, but just failed to look in here. Failed to see how the 3-4 helped me, and then ended up doing a lot of shenanigans up there. But if you just keep in mind the big picture, this will be even smoother for you. Hope you guys enjoyed the puzzle and the video, and I'll see you back soon. Bye-bye for now.